Hello again. Here's something I'd like you to sort of sit back and think about. And this is in regards to that horrific event that took place in the French Alps with the aircraft that was piloted by Andreas Lubitz as the second officer. Now, what did we learn within 2 hours after the incident? What was reported? Well, what was reported by the French prosecutor, this could not be an act of terrorism. Shortly thereafter, the United States came out with the same claim. What took place was not an act of terrorism. Then what do we learn? Well, we learn that Andreas Lubitz had some kind of issues. We didn't know exactly what kind of issues. There was speculation that he might have become a convert to Islam, and then there was speculation that he might have had other issues. Then what does Fox News report? Well, what Fox News reported is that some evidence was uncovered at Andrew Lubitz's home. Apparently, what was found was a doctor's note. And the doctor's note said that Andreas Lubitz wasn't fit to fly, based on the emotional upheaval that was taking place in his life. That's most interesting. And let me tell you why that's most interesting. Doctors have a certain responsibility that you may or may not be aware of. Let me give you an example. Let's say you go to the doctor, and during some physical examination, he determines that you have a serious case of epilepsy. Well, what he's required to do, or she, depending on who your doctor is, they're required to contact the Department of Transportation, the DMV, and your license gets revoked. That's sort of what happens. Now, I don't know how it works in Europe, but I'm a pilot, and I'll tell you how it works in the United States. As a pilot, a private pilot, I have to have a physical examination every 2 years. Now, a transport pilot, like Andreas Lubitz was, I believe has to have one every 6 months. That's the way it works here in the United States. I assume it's somewhat similar there because they're controlled by the Aviation Authority. Now, when I go to my aviation doctor, guess what? He does the same thing. You have to fill out a form, and you have to swear as to what it is that is wrong with you. If anything, let me give you an example in my case. I take Synthroid medication. Now, my thyroid gland stopped functioning properly back in 1986. I got licensed in 1991. And until around 4 years ago, when I went for my biannual, which means every 2 years, I received my license for another 2 years. Well, 4 years ago, that isn't what happened. I went to the doctor, the aviation doctor, not your family doctor. And they knew that I took Synthroid, and Synthroid was put on the FAA's list of drugs that they now watch. So I was only given a license for 1 year. And every year I have to go and have my blood drawn and give the aviation doctor a report of the level of thyroxine that I have in my system. That's sort of how it works. So the simple fact that a note was found, or was supposed to have been found, at Andrew Lubitz's home, written by a doctor that said he's not suitable to fly doesn't make any sense. Because that doctor has an obligation, and I can't imagine it's any different there than it is here. They have an obligation to report that to his employer and to the FAA. That's sort of how it works. Now, you take that into consideration in combination with what I've said in 3 or 4 of my previous videos. How could anybody sit in the front of an Airbus A320 at 500 miles an hour screaming towards a mountain face, knowing that they're soon going to destroy themselves and 149 other passengers, and sit there breathing calmly? Well, one excuse is he could be on psychotropic drugs. You know, the same kind of drugs that I think maybe on occasion the chosen one might indulge in. Go Google when Obama refers to Michelle as Michael. Go Google that. Clear as a bell, he refers to Michelle Obama as Michael. I think he was loaded, but that's a different story. We're not talking about the chosen one here. We're talking about Andreas Lubitz. I think what they're trying to do, for whatever reason, as Obama is known to do, is to take the heat off of the Muslim Brotherhood, off Islamic extremist terrorists. I think they've had enough heat on them for a little while. So now they're trying to make it look like Andreas Lubitz did what he did because he suffered from depression over a breakup with his fiancée. Let me give you another story. I've had 2 divorces. My wives left me in both cases. My first wife took off with who I thought was my best friend. My second wife decided to charge me with a crime Christmas Eve. In California, if a woman accuses you of one of 3 things, you're going to go to jail. I went to jail Christmas Eve. The prosecutor dropped the case when they did their investigation. I lost my home. I lost my children. I lost my family. I lost my wife. Did I go kill somebody? No. The thing is, they're using this to try to hide the truth. That's sort of what I believe. We'll see. But no different than we haven't learned the truth about the chosen one that was vetted by Nancy Pelosi. We might never learn the truth as to what really happened, whether it was psychotropic drugs, whether it was he was not allowed to fly based on a doctor's note, which again, I think I've explained very clearly why that makes no sense. So, now I told you what I think. Let me know what you think.